What's up everybody, Coach Trevor here. So today in this video, we're gonna go over the kettlebell swing, and this is gonna be for multiple reps as we're teaching someone how to do the swing. So they've mastered the hinge, they've mastered the deadlift, they've mastered the hike back, and they've mastered the single rep swing. All right, so they have a good lockout, they have good positioning, they understand the concept behind it, and their lower back doesn't have any issues. If their lower back has issues, regress them to other exercises, maybe not so hinge dominant, and then the next day we'll maybe address it as well. So there's multiple ways to teach this one. I used to do it to where they did 5 reps at a time and then kind of coach it off that. I've found that as you're coaching them while they're doing it, only throwing out certain cues that are the most important as they're doing it, that's the best way to teach someone, all right? So what I mean by that is that they're gonna be doing multiple swings. Maybe their knees are bending too much as they're doing their swings, so they're constantly doing like a squat swing like this. So you'll just stand to the side, put your hand in front, and just kind of like tap their knees and basically say, don't touch my hand, okay? My hand's lava, don't touch it. And they just keep swinging for no more than 15 or 20 reps, right? But with the lightweight. And then when you set it down, when they set down the weight, you have to ask them, okay, like how do you feel? Like, where'd you feel it? And if they don't feel it anywhere, that's okay, just because they might be like so new to the movement, like their body's trying to process like what muscles they're using. Over time, that's not a good thing, ideally, right? So we want to use the hammies and glutes, core, lats as well. So just coaching them as they're doing the movement, all right? Sometimes it's like one of the best ways to do it as well. Another thing I'll do too is when maybe they're doing the swing for multiple reps, as I'll stand to the side, I'll take the kettlebell. If they're not using their arms, to hike it back, okay? So the kettlebell swing looks like this. Weights in front, bend the handle, take a breath, abs nice and tight. I'm gripping the floor, the weights in the midfoot to heels, then hike it back, boom, pop and lock, hinge, pop and lock, hinge, okay? From here, and the idea is you want to have like a good snap on this, all right? So if people haven't played sports or haven't been super active before, the concept of being explosive takes time, like possibly months of time, just because they've never done it before. Athletes will tend to pick this up faster just because it's a hard style swing. The idea behind it is to be as explosive as possible. There's lots of moving parts on this, so it's super complex. Pick one cue at a time to fix with them. So it could just be like rounding shoulders, right? If their back change position, you have to really address that. That's the most important thing, right? So when it comes to cueing, the most important thing is addressing their spine, because they only have one, and their central nervous system runs through it, so all their nerves that control everything run through it. So address that first. Then the other limbs, right? So typically be the hinge, so make sure you're in a good solid hinge position, a good solid lockout position. To be honest, I don't care too much if their elbows are bent, arms are straight. Maybe that's like the last cue I'll dig into. And of course, always creating tension. The breathing and bracing is a good one, right? So making sure that they're inhaling and then making a good creating out force, and that tells us that they're actually bracing and they're staying tight at the top, right? Another thing is that they're not overextending like this, or just standing up and extending from the low back, right? So their hips can shift forward. We don't want that, right? So want to be straight up like this, boom, not overextending. Also, another thing is maybe their hips not getting full hip extension, right? So their knees are straight like this, but not getting full hip extension. Other things, their knees can be bent, but they're fully extending their hips. So make sure it's a good solid lockout. So those quads need to be on, abs on, squeezing the glutes. And that's why it's important to introduce that RKC plank at the top, at the beginning of their sessions, just because so they'll understand the concept of creating tension and being in a good locked out position. There's tons of other ways you can address the cues, but we can dig into that more as you're coaching and as we're learning. And if you have questions, just ask me.